sharing this beautiful and bountiful land with us. And I would like to thank everyone for participating tonight. I don't know how many diehard Blue Jay fans there are. The last I looked, it was 2-1 for the Blue Jays. And we're going to do introductions and go around the room. I'll start off. My name is Bob Beckett. I'm the Bamfield Area A Director on the ACRD. And John.
This seems very funny considering the group of people, Bob. But yeah, John Mass, and I'm a APC member, Bamfield resident for 3 decades, and that's it. That's all I have.
And my alternate, Bob Schmidt.
Hi, I'm Bob Schmidt, as I think you know by now, and I'm also a resident and a member of the Bamfield Area Services Committee.
Lisa.
Hi, I'm Lisa Bai, and I am a Bamfield resident and member of this committee.
I think the rest of us, the rest on the tonight are our wonderful staff, and I'll start with you, Eddie.
Thank you. Eddie Kunderman, Operations Manager here with the ACRD, 4-1 Blue Jays.
See, John, now that's why we have to have these introductions, okay? Jenny.
Jenny Brunn, General Manager of Community Services.
Thank you. Karen.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Karen Freely, Protective Services Manager with the ACRD.
And last but not least, Heather.
Thank you. Heather Zenner, Manager of Administrative Services. And I just want to acknowledge that the live stream is not working, but I am recording the meeting and I will upload it to the website tomorrow.
Perfect. Thank you very much. And I should have also acknowledged that you know, there are other Indigenous territories that you are speaking from and working from and living on. But I won't go any further than that. Item number 2 is the approval of the agenda, and unless someone has anything else they would like to add, I would like a motion for approval of the agenda, please. Moved by John, seconded by Lisa, all in favor. And that passes. And I assume there's no declarations under item number 3. So that way we can go to item number 4, Bamfield Area Services Committee meeting held on June 3rd, 2025. And of course, I'm referring to the minutes. Could I have someone make the motion, unless there are any errors, admissions, or corrections? If I could have someone make the motion that the minutes of the Bamfield Area Services Committee meeting held on June 3rd, 2025 be adopted. Moved by John Mass, seconded by Bob Schmidt. All in favor? And that passes. Thank you very much. And item number B, Bamfield Parks Commission meeting held September 8th, 2025. Welcome, Christine. Thank you for joining us. We're just on item number 4, item 4B, motion to accept the minutes, that the minutes of the Bamfield Parks Commission meeting be held on September 8th, 2025 be received. Unless there's any comments or questions about that, all in favor? And that
are you moving that motion, Bob? We need a seconder.
Sorry, thank you.
That's okay.
Can I have a motion to Christine moves it and John Mass seconds it? All in favor? Perfect. Thank you. That passes. Don't believe we have anything on item number 5, petition delegations or presentations. We have, correct me if I'm wrong, Heather, but I don't think we have any correspondence for action or information. So we'll move right into item number 7, request for decision, Bamfield Transfer Station Operators Contract Award. And I don't know if that's Jenny or Eddie that's going to lead. I can see Jenny has unmuted, so it must be Jenny. Go ahead, Jenny, please.
Excellent, thank you. Yeah, so the transfer station operation contract came up for renewal, and so we issued an RFP in June and received a couple submissions. One of them was our existing contractor, Patrick McNamara, and he submitted a proposal that was worth about $35,000 annually. And otherwise, we've been very satisfied with Patrick's work, and so it was a excellent submission. However, as the committee is aware from our last committee meeting, we are very challenged with budget in the Bamfield waste area. And so we talked with Patrick and had some very positive discussions and negotiations, explained the situation, and he was able to sort of say, okay, he can extend the work at the existing price, which is $24,000 per year. That was the last contract term for 3 years. So he's looking to extend that. So we are recommending from staff that we move forward with that. We will add in a CPI adjustment in this contract, which we didn't have in the last contract. And I think that's pretty much everything. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much, Jenny. Any questions or comments from the committee regarding this contract? Well, go ahead, John. Are you unmuting?
Only, no, I'm unmuting, yeah. The only comments I have is it's very obvious that in the last year, things have increased, productivity there. I know there's a lot of business with the increased because of the road getting paved, but also the efficiency is increased as well. In the last, it's quite well contained, and everything is very orderly.
Yeah, thank you for that, John. And before I go to Bob Schmidt, I'd like to echo the fact that, you know, June through September, I made a number of trips there, and I couldn't get over the cleanliness of the property. And to me, that speaks volumes with respect to, you know, not attracting bears, just not worried about tire punctures and other things. So yeah, thanks, John, for that. Bob Schmidt.
Yeah, I just kind of want to echo the same sentiments. First of all, I appreciate Patrick being flexible on his rate to try and keep costs down locally, especially when you look at the alternative Euro world at 505,000 per year. That would have been kind of interesting to see what that proposal looked like. But I echo your comments that it's the level of cleanliness has really gone up in the last year or two, and I every time I go there, it's really pristine and in really good shape. So I think this is a really good news story.
If there's nothing else, then Bob Schmidt, are you willing then to make the motion, please? And I'll read that out. That the Bamfield Area Services Committee recommend that the Alberni-Clayoquot Regional District Board of Directors award, Heather, again, I need to clarify this. I've got my board hat on as opposed to the committee hat on. Are we looking for a committee motion to approve that motion? It still has to go to the board, correct?
Correct.
Yes. But you would like us to pass the motion to approve that motion. And Bob, you had your hand up. I just noticed that.
Yeah, just one minor nitpicky thing that I noticed in the recommendation. It's very clear what the recommendation is based upon the decision item, but the actual amount says in an amount starting at 24,000. It should probably say in an annual amount starting at 24,000 or $24,000 per year, as opposed to, I think the word annual is missing in that part of it. So if I could just propose a friendly amendment just to clarify that, because that's what'll go in the minutes.
Perfect. So I'll read that out. Thank you for that. That the Bamfield Area Services Committee recommend that the Alberni-Clayoquot Regional District Board of Directors award the Bamfield Transfer Station's Recycling Coordinator 3-year contract to Patrick McNamara in an annual amount starting at $24,000 and subject to an annual adjustments based on CPI. So that was moved by Bob Schmidt and seconded by Lisa. Any questions, comments? All in favor? Thank you. And I don't know, Jenny, Eddie, if this is appropriate. I mean, it still has to go to the board, but it really would be nice for Patrick to know that this committee acknowledges the work ethic that he is doing, and that all of us commented or acknowledged just you know the effort that he's putting into it. It's quite noticeable. So if that's appropriate, I would like that to go forward. And when it comes to the board, I too will acknowledge it at the board level as well. So thank you for that. Number 8, moving on to 8A, Emergency Operations Center verbal update. And before I turn it over to Karen, I just, especially in light of recent events on Sunday, Monday, I just have to say how grateful I am, how appreciative I am of our EOC director and all of the ACRD staff. I am acutely aware of the hours that went into managing the event, the sacrifices that staff and volunteers made during especially the first 2.5, 3 weeks of that event. I am so appreciative of everyone's efforts. So with that, I'll turn it over to Karen.
Thank you, Bob. Yes, it's been a busy summer regionally for emergency management, and certainly that has had a ripple effect through our whole organization, certainly. I'm here today just wanting to provide a bit of an update on the Mount Underwood fire and happy to answer any questions. So you're welcome to interrupt me as I go through my report here. Just wanted to let everyone know that the fire is still classified as under control. It is not yet classified as out. BC Wildfire Service continues to do patrols as there is wildfire is still smoldering in some areas, and they're doing mop-up efforts. So it's likely that we won't see it changing its designation for quite some time. And they will continue to monitor it for safety reasons. As we are all aware, the Franklin River Road closure is still in effect. There is a 1.5 kilometer stretch along Bamfield Main Road between kilometer 8 and kilometer 9.5. It is closed primarily due to the unstable slopes affected by the fire. Mott is leading the efforts to open this road safely as soon as they possibly can in conjunction with Mosaic. They are in the process of having to remove over 1,000 danger trees on very challenging terrain. So it's taking a lot of time and effort to get the job done, but they're working hard at it. They have made mention that this type of work can only be done on good sunny days. It's challenging to do this work in the rain and the wind, so they're trying to maximize the sunny weather right now that we're having to try to get as much work done as possible. So after they complete the danger tree falling, they'll be looking at re-signing the road and getting the road surface ready for travel and for people to traverse the road again. And subject to weather, subject to all going well, they're still hoping to have the road open by the end of October. During that time, or during this time while it is closed, they are going to be installing gates on either side of that 1.5 kilometer stretch. Very similar to Cameron Bluffs, which we did after the wildfire there around Cameron Lake. We had gates go down preemptively for safety reasons. And so Mott will be developing weather thresholds and protocols that determine if it rains so much or if it's so windy that they'll just automatically go down, because it's hard to predict what the slope is going to do during the winter weather coming up. So they're going to be cautious, and I think residents should expect the road to be closed more than we're used to during the winter months as we navigate what the mountainside's gonna do. They're also installing a weather station in that area specifically to collect localized data on perceptions and wind speed conditions, which will help inform those thresholds, but recognizing that that's really its own weather source area. So they're actually putting a weather station right there so they can get that data as localized as possible. So the alternative route, the only approved alternative route is still the Yubo route, and this route continues to be maintained by Dididat First Nation in coordination with the Ministry of Emergency Management and Climate Readiness and alongside the Ministry of Transportation. And Dididat continues to work on improving signs and maintaining the road for public use. It is getting more challenging as the rains are coming. It is the maintenance of the road is getting more and more challenging as we move into the winter months. As far as the EOC is concerned, we remain open and active. As long as the Bamfield main road is closed, the EOC will be open. So we currently have just updated our local state of emergency. So that is active for another 14 days. And we have an active evacuation order area still in that area where the road closure is. We are working with the Ministry of Jobs and Economic Growth, who are leading a business recovery working group to try to understand the economic impacts and try to provide some strategies moving forward to help local businesses. We are also working with the recovery unit through the Ministry of Emergency Management to try to still understand ongoing concerns and residential needs and try to address them as we understand them. And we'll continue to do that. And we have weekly Franklin River Road working groups with different ministries and agencies, as we collaborate to just try to keep each other updated on what's going on with the road and where we're at, and providing public updates as any new information arises. So I'm happy to answer any questions at this time. Hi, Lisa.
Oh, Karen, I just do have a question regarding the installation of the gates. And what sort of, if there's been discussion or if they have come up with what sort of information bulletin there will be to let us know that the gates are down and the road is closed before we leave Bamfield, because that's a long road to trek to get 10 kilometers out of town to be told we can't get through.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't have specific answers other than I can tell you it's been discussed, and Mott they are aware that we have made that request to them, and they said that they will find some communication procedures that they will put into place. And I can pass that along as we know. I don't know if it'll just be through Drive BC or if there's other methods of communication. But they're certainly aware that that request has been made, and it's on their list of things that they're trying to accomplish. Yeah.
And I know that this is fresh, and I'm a little out of the loop, but understand that there was something that took place on Sunday in regards to the fact that Main Roads has the logging company has this potential bypass. I'm just wondering, it seems very early in the game, but do you think that that may be open for discussion later down the road in that it could become a potential bypass or the official bypass for when that gate is closed? Do you know if that's a potential?
Yeah, that route is not an official bypass. It's on private owned lands. And unfortunately, the incident on the weekend did stop the work for the Ministry of Transportation that day due to safety of their crew, which was unfortunate because it was a bright sunny day to get a lot of work done, and work wasn't able to get accomplished that day. So, we've been telling the public, we understand it's challenging, it's hard to wait, it's a long month in October, but we're asking everyone for safety for themselves and the safety of crews to please use the official alternate route, which is the route to Yubo. The other route is not an official route. It will not be open to the public. It's on privately owned lands. So it's we are strongly encouraging, and you can see from our Facebook posts that we've been putting out that we're letting folks know that that's not the way to travel to Port Alberni.
On a very happy note, I snuck in yesterday through Yubo and we passed the grader and the road was lovely.
That's good to hear, because I'm coming to Bamfield in a couple of weeks, so I'll get to test the road myself. Bob, you're muted.
Thank you. I'm sure some of the committee members were hoping that was going to be permanent. Bob Schmidt, you had your hand up.
No, I had the same question as Lisa, so that's been answered. I appreciate that.
Okay. The last time that I was at a meeting where we had a conversation regarding information signage, should the, once the road gets opened up, just as Lisa was asking about, I was hoping that there could be signage at, for example, the entrance or the trailhead park entrance there, so that anyone from Bamfield or Anakla, leaving, that's only 3 or 4 kilometers, and bang, there's a sign to say, don't travel. And the same thing, in Port Alberni, because again, heaven forbid, there's a power failure and we've got cell issues and social media issues. Having some kind of signage in our backyard would be really beneficial. And I would urge you, Karen, the sooner Mott can come up with a formal plan. It would be great to be able to share that, with our communities, including the Alberni Valley. And I, because we're fresh on this topic about, the frustration of a small number of Bamfield and Hawaiian folks on the weekend, I just want to remind everyone that, if we go to 30,000-foot view of what's going on behind the scenes, there's so much effort to try to get the province to take on the responsibility of the road, to work with the Dididat Nation and take on permanent improvements to the Cowichan-Yubo route. And a lot of this work is based on creating strong relationships. And and again, I empathize and I recognize the frustration, but it's jeopardizing the work that so many other people are doing behind the scenes. And I would urge everyone, please follow the recommendations of the team that's currently working, to get this road open. That's I'll get off my soapbox, but I just had to share that. It's a bit frustrating, that's for sure, for many reasons. Thank you for that, Karen. Is there any final comments? Christine, please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks. I agree with all the comments that you made there, Bob and Lisa, about signage. I do feel like whether it's Drive BC or another method, we need something in addition to signage so that people can see. Sorry, he's my child. We need to know before I pack up to leave my house that the road is closed.
Yeah, absolutely. And there might be there might be a layered approach, because typically we do typical for Mott is to do Drive BC, and if a road is closed, they immediately put it online. So what they typically say is, check the site before you go, particularly if it's raining or something, and it might indicate that the road may be closed. But also I like Bob's suggestion of having a hard sign in community that provides that information as well. And maybe we can take it also into the social media, and we can do it a step farther when we know that road closures happen. We can get something on social media. So I think a bit of a layered approach would probably be a good idea, and we can see what Mott comes up with from their end, and then we can try to add layers to it from the ACRD.
Thanks. Go ahead, Lisa.
Just Karen, curious if local voyant alert notice might be a platform.
It could be, Lisa. We haven't typically used Voyant Alert for that purpose. We tend to keep Voyant Alert for the, the real emergencies. Partly, we don't want folks to get complacent with getting a Voyant Alert, but in this scenario, under these circumstances, it is a tool that we could use, and we can definitely give that some consideration.
Yeah, Karen, I know that there was discussion at the last community meeting in Bamfield, and I think that was raised, and valid point. You don't want to be using it for things that are not, an emergency to someone may be, not an emergency to somebody else. But if the road was closed, like if whether it's a weather-induced event or whether it was just crap happened and part of the mountain came down, I actually think that's a valid reason to pump out that road is now closed due to blah 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 once it gets opened up. So something to consider. I like your approach though, is let's get something back from Mott, and then as a community perhaps have some input and dialogue as to how to tweak it.
Yeah, and I'll just add to that, Bob, as Voyant Alert, we have a choice when we send out Voyant Alert, whether we put it as a critical alert or an information. And the critical alert raises the sirens, and the information it's just like a bleep, it's just a text on. So that might be a tool that we could use under the information. So the information's there, but it's not causing alarms all the time for folks.
Yeah, no, that's great input. Oh, hang on a second, I just lost my agenda on this side. Is there anything else then on the Emergency Operations Center update? And again,
no, I'll just echo the thank you and recognizing that it's been a challenging summer, and knowing I'm not living in Bamfield myself, so I can only appreciate that it's very challenging to be. The UBO route is so much longer to get into Port Alberni, and I know much of your services that you're trying to access are here. I can assure you we are trying to mitigate the impacts as much as we can. Happy to hear input and information as well, if it would like to be shared, so we can make improvements for another time. And this event if we still can, but just wanted to recognize the challenges that the community is having to overcome, and just thanking everyone for their patience as we kind of navigate this uncharted territory. It's been a bit of an unprecedented summer here for us in our region. So thank you so much.
thanks, Karen. And just before we go to item B, I will add that if you want factual, accurate information, go to the ACRD website, and consider the sources on other social media platforms. 8B. So before you go into submarine line project, and not suggesting that you're looking at the game, Eddie, what is the score?
Well, I've got good news and bad news. Jays went ahead 6-1, and the top of the third is now 6-3 in the bottom of 3.
Ooh, this is going to be a good game. Okay, yeah. Eddie, back to business. Submarine line project.
Yeah, and thank you, and through the chair. I'm happy to be here, and happy to be having this conversation X months, years later, that we have a good update on the West Bamfield submarine line replacement. Construction teams mobilized the site yesterday, so they are in the community. We have an on-site pre-construction meeting tomorrow morning, and they will be starting the work, starting to get prepared for the eventual jetting dredging of the new submarine line. The anticipated date that will start will be November 9th, when they start actually sinking the new pipe. There's a variety of tasks that need to be completed before then. Constructing the pipelines, deploying them over to the west side, installing valve components, etc., rock breaking. So there's a variety of tasks before the pipe actually does get sank, and it's in line with that favorable, tidal window on November 9th. We will ensure that as any impacts to the community are faced, we'll get communications up ahead to let the community know, for instance, when the east side, when the west side will be affected, when the inlet will be affected. Ensure there'll be plenty of time as far as notice. We'll be getting our first one up by the end of this week. We will have signs on both the east side and the west side communicating the construction. This is a component of the grant funding. We got the Investing in Canada infrastructure grant, paying for $861,000 of the project, and that comes with some necessary signage. Tomorrow to the board, we are taking a report that we didn't get ready in time for this meeting, just speaking to some of the financial components of the project. And really it's some paperwork that was necessary as we moved from part A of the project, which was the design, getting that up to 100%, to part B, which is the construction. So we went with a phased approach with our construction company. We signed them on for phase A, pre-construction services. They worked with the design engineer, taking it to 100%. At that point, they had provided, a list of prices for materials. And then once we got it to 100%, that list was updated with the actual design in place. So we had an increase of roughly $90,000 at that point in construction materials. Some of these additional requirements were the additional trucking and bonding costs. There was extra length of pipe necessary for cleaning and testing, extended time on site for concrete casting, some increased diving requirements, and rock bag costs, I guess, were higher than initially forecast. And then some additional soil anchors, trench dams, and necessary bedding. When we had to go through the process of getting the Fisheries Act authorization through the Department of Fisheries and Oceans, which again, want to thank Department of Fisheries and Oceans. They did expedite the process as much as they could. Definitely want to thank our engineer, Great Pacific, who worked with them to move things along as much as they could. But when we moved the construction window to November from the spring, there were additional construction costs again that were worked in due to the necessity of having to do some of that night work. So I think we saw an increase of about $35,000 from at that point to move it to the spring. So all said, we have the report just speaking to, we have a total contracted or total budget amount for the project of $1.5 million. We're just moving the rest of what was left in there into contingency, just to allow for a smoother process as we move through the rest of the construction project, rather than going through construction. And while money's in the budget, if it's not in the contingency, we'd have to come back to the board before moving forward. So we're just taking that tomorrow to move forward with construction with T's crossed, I's dotted. Anything else on that? No, I think, it's really good news. Gosh, I feel like this project's been going on forever, and Jenny can probably speak to that. And Bob, I know you've been speaking to that, and I'm not going to ask Les his feelings on that. But it's been going on a long time, and we're really happy to be getting to this point. Work's still to come, but we're in a good place right now. So happy to answer any other questions.
Okay, well, while I'm waiting for hands to come up, I have a couple of questions, Eddie. One, will there be a water advisory, boil water after the line goes through? And is the November date subject to the Bamfield Road being open?
Okay, I'm not sure. Don't believe so, but Jenny would be able to answer that a little bit better than me, but I don't think. I think when it gets in, it's going to be pressure tested, but I'll let you know tomorrow. The other portion, it's not subject to the Bamfield Road. We ensured that mobilization was able to take place through the UBO route. And so we are on site, mobilization has occurred.
Excellent. Any questions from the committee members? Excellent. Well, I, like Les, am glad to hear that it's moving forward. It's not in its shoulder season time. And look forward to having the reliance of a new line with increased capacity and fire flow. So thank you for that report. So if I could have a motion from the committee that the Bamfield Area Services Committee receives reports A through B, please. Moved by Christine, seconded by John Mass. Questions, comments? All in favor? And that's passed. Thank you very much. Heather, any late business? Thank you. Question period, and no questions from the public? No comments?
Yeah, no questions via email or in Zoom. But that would
Very
be
good.
because nobody has joined Zoom with us.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. So we'll go to item number 11, and I'm going to need a motion to close the meeting to the public as per the community charter, sections I-91J, information that is prohibited, or information that if were presented in a document would be prohibited from disclosure under section 21 of the Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act. I have two motions, so that's the first motion. Could I have someone make that motion for me, please? And I have John Mass making the motion and seconded by Bob Schmidt. All in favor? And that passes. And the second motion is motion to close the meeting to the public as per Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act, sections II 21(1)(ci) of the FOIPPA harm significantly the competitive position or interfere significantly with the negotiating position of the third party. So if I could have someone move that motion, please. And Christine moves that motion, seconded by Lisa. All in favor? And that passes. So we'll go to item number 12, and I assume that might be Jenny leading us.